Hey, come see us on tour. I'll be in Davenport, Iowa, Las Vegas, Nevada, Chicago, Illinois, and Grand Rapids, Michigan. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets. This is from Reuters. Pentagon ran a secret anti-vax campaign to undermine China during the pandemic. The Pentagon. So remember they tell you it's randos and we got to censor everybody? Guess who they don't censor? The Pentagon. And what was the Pentagon doing? Well, at the height of the COVID-19 pandemic, the U.S. military launched a secret campaign to counter what it perceived as China's growing influence in the Philippines, a nation hit especially hard by the deadly virus. The clandestine operation has not been previously reported. It aimed to sow doubt about the safety and efficacy of vaccines and other life-saving aid that was being supplied by China. Though through phony internet accounts meant to impersonate Filipinos, the military's propaganda efforts morphed into an anti-vax campaign. Social media posts decried the quality of face masks, test kits, and the first vaccine that would become available in the Philippines, the Chinese vaccine.
Oh, that's for Pfizer or something, right?
Yeah, so guess who the military's working for? The military, again, just like the CIA doesn't work for the president, the FBI doesn't work for the president. The military, DARPA, they all work for corporations. Yeah. This country's run by, we live in an oligarchy. This is a corporatocracy. This is not a democracy.
Just for the record, Jimmy, when we saved all those Nazi lives after World War II,
yeah,
and merged them into the CIA,
yes,
we put Nazis in every corporation. So notice how people have been labeled Nazis that were not Nazis.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, every company from World War II that helped Hitler is still bigger than ever. Is that weird?
So Reuters identified at least 300 accounts on Twitter that match descriptions shared by former U.S. military officials familiar with the Philippines operation. So none of those people got banned.
Yeah, that's
But
racist.
You know who did? Dr. Robert Malone. People like that.
For being racist.
Almost all were created in the summer of 2020 and centered on the slogan, China, I don't know how to say that. Chinang virus. It's a taglog for China is the virus.
That's more racist than Kung Flu by a lot.
That is.
Yeah.
Here it is.
China is the virus. Okay. I mean, we do make our viruses there. See, I'm confused as to why. So we make a virus there and then made the best man win curing it with a fake vaccine?
So they would say, look, do you want that? China is the virus. COVID came from China and vaccines came from China. So beneath the picture is then Philippines President Rodrigo Duterte saying, China, prioritize us, please. I'll give you more islands, Pogo, and black sand. Pogo refers to Philippine offshore gaming operations, online gambling companies that boomed during Duterte's administration. Black sand refers to the type of mining.
Oh, do we want those Pogos and black sand?
So they couldn't get the Pfizer vaccine or Moderna because we were hoarding it here in the West. And so they were begging China, give us your vaccine. And so then the Pentagon came and said, no, we're going to make everybody in the Philippines afraid of the Chinese vaccine. You imagine how evil that is? If you really believe the vaccine's saving lives, and if you really believe this virus is deadly, that you would do that? COVID came from China, and the vaccine also came from China. Don't trust China, a typical tweet from July 2020 read in Tagalog. The words were next to a photo of a syringe beside a Chinese flag and a soaring chart of infections. Another post read, from China, PPE, face masks, vaccine, fake, but the coronavirus is real.
What's PPE?
Personal protective something. The U.S. military anti-vax effort began in the spring of 2020 and expanded beyond Southeast Asia before it was terminated in mid-2021. Tailoring the propaganda campaign to local audiences across Central Asia and the Middle East, the Pentagon used a combination of fake social media accounts on multiple platforms to spread fear of China's vaccine. So disinformation. So the people, again, I've always told you, the biggest liars are the government. Second is then the corporate media. And third, and a distant third, are randos on social media. So this whole idea that they have to crack down and censor, they're never going to crack down the biggest liars. The biggest liars are the government the military, the corporate media. Those are the biggest liars. They're never going to crack down on them. But they will crack down on the leading doctors and scientists. Tailoring the propaganda campaign to local audiences across Central Asia and the Middle East, the Pentagon used a combination of fake social media accounts on multiple platforms to spread fear of China's vaccines among Muslims at a time when the virus was killing tens of thousands of people each day. A key part of the strategy amplified the disputed contention that because vaccines sometimes contain pork gelatin, China's shots could be considered forbidden under Islamic law.
They do contain pork gelatin?
Well, it's a disputed contention.
Oh, well, okay.
The military program started under former President Donald Trump and continued months into Joe Biden's presidency, even after alarmed social media executives warned the new administration that the Pentagon had been trafficking in COVID misinformation. Hey, it's quite a headline. Social media executives warn lying politicians that liars at the Pentagon had been caught lying. The Biden White House issued an edict in spring 2021 banning the anti-vax effort, which also disparages vaccines produced by other rivals, and the Pentagon initiated a new internal review. A senior Defense Department official acknowledged that the United States military engaged in secret propaganda to disparage China's vaccine in the developing world, but the officials declined to provide details. I wonder why. A Pentagon spokeswoman said the U.S. military, how do you know it's a woman? The Pentagon spokeswoman, what's a woman, said the U.S. military uses a variety of platforms, including social media, to counter those malign influence attacks aimed at the U.S. allies and partners.
What?
So what they're saying is, but they did it first.
Look what it says.
She also noted that China had started a disinformation campaign to falsely blame the United States for the spread of COVID-19.
It is not the United States.
It is the United States. So they're saying we were just doing it, but they did it first.
How long is this going to work on people? Where it's like we have to do all the evils of the world to fight evil.
That's right.
And everybody goes, yeah, well, the bad guys are worse.
Yeah, that's right.
How long are you going to fall for that? Forever?
They're falling it for right now to fight Trump. They've become the thing they claim Trump is. They're prosecuting their own political enemies. They're making it illegal. The MAGA movement. Anyway. Here we go. In an email, the Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs said that it has long maintained that the U.S. government manipulates social media and spreads misinformation. A spokesperson for the Philippines Department of Health said that the findings by Reuters deserve to be investigated and heard by the appropriate authorities of the involved. Yeah, okay.
Oh, jerk off.
Briefed on the Pentagon's secret anti-vax campaign by Reuters, some American public health experts condemned the program, saying it put civilians in jeopardy for potential geopolitical gain. When would the government ever do that? An operation meant to win the hearts and minds endangered lives, they said.
Are these the same health experts that say gain of function is not gain of function? Fuck them.
I wonder. I don't think it's defensible, said Daniel Lucy, an infectious disease specialist at Dartmouth's Geisel School of Medicine. I'm extremely dismayed, disappointed, and disillusioned to hear that the U.S. government would do that. Really? That's a shocker to you.
I'm a bit dismayed. He helped.
So this guy,
military physician, shut the.
He's a former military physician. You're really shocked? He helped in response to the 2001 anthrax attacks. Guess where the anthrax attacks came from? The U.S. fucking government.
How come that never comes up?
They traced those back to U.S. biolabs. And you don't know that? And so this still shocks you? And this is the guy Reuters got to comment on this. And he's shocked. The effort to stoke fear about Chinese inoculation risked undermining overall public trust in government health initiatives, including U.S.-made vaccines that became available later, Lucy and others said. Although the Chinese vaccine... So the people who were actually stoking anti-vax sentiment was the U.S. government and the Pentagon.
Well, anti-Chinese brand.
But they're saying that it undermined all. That's what that says.
I would imagine so.
Although the Chinese vaccines were found to be less effective
are they more effective? Is that what that means? Does that mean they made a good vaccine?
I'm gonna guess that they made a better vaccine.
What are the odds that it's not?
Well, it just turned out their vaccine was less effective, according to who?
Because Pfizer didn't even test theirs.
That's right. By Pfizer and Moderna, all were approved by the world. All those vaccines, including China's, was approved by the WHO.
And Gavi.
They were less effective at what, Kurt? Generating profits for big pharma?
Yeah.
I think that's what they mean.
Yeah.
The Chinese vaccines were less effective at generating profits for big pharma in America. Academic research published recently has shown that when individuals develop skepticism towards a single vaccine, the doubts often lead to uncertainty about other inoculations.
Okay, are you joking? Somebody had to sit and do research to figure out that once you realize you've been lied to about one thing, you start to get suspicious about a lot of things.
So listen to this, Kurt. This will even get you pissed off more. Lucy and other health experts say they saw such a scenario play out in Pakistan. What happened there? Well, the CIA used a fake hepatitis vaccination program in Abbottabad as cover to hunt for Osama bin Laden, the terrorist.
Are you what?
They used a fake hepatitis vaccination program.
So the people are not vaccinated.
So that program was fake.
So that's like Tuskegee, where they didn't treat the people that had a...
Yeah, similar. Discovery of the ruse led to a backlash against an unrelated polio vaccination campaign, including attacks on healthcare workers, contributing to the reemergence of polio in that country.
Yeah, well, how much you want to bet that the unrelated thing was also related and might have caused some polio?
In the wake of the U.S. propaganda efforts, then Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte had grown so dismayed by how the few Filipinos were willing to be inoculated that he threatened to arrest people who refused vaccinations. You choose vaccine or I will have you jailed, a masked Duterte said.
Wait.
Yes.
Why did he wear a mask?
If you're vaccinated, why are you wearing a mask?
Oh, okay. I was imagining, I'm so dumb. I was imagining a ski mask. Like he was holding them hostage.
No.
He had just a medical mask.
There's like a bank robber mask.
Yeah, like, wow, that country is wild.
There is a crisis in this country. I'm just exasperated by Filipinos not heeding the government.
Oh, my God.
Some Filipino healthcare professionals and former officials contacted by Reuters were shocked by the U.S. anti-vax effort, which they say exploited an already vulnerable citizenry. Public concerns about a dengue fever vaccine rolled out in the Philippines in 2016 had led to a broad skepticism toward inoculations overall. The Pentagon campaign preyed on those fears.
That the Pentagon caused and has caused the whole time?
To implement the anti-vax campaign, the Defense Department overrode strong objections from top U.S. diplomats in Southeast Asia at the time. So the U.S. diplomats, who are at least get appointed by someone who was elected, were overrode by unelected military people. Completely. Why? Because they don't work for the president. They don't work for the Congress. They work for corporations. Sources involved in this planning and execution say the Pentagon, which ran the program through the military's Psychological Operations Center in Tampa, Florida, disregarded the collateral impact that such propaganda may have on innocent Filipinos. We weren't looking at this from a public health perspective, said a senior military officer. We were looking at how we could drag China through the mud.
Why are we making viruses there if that's what we want to do?
And he added, we're all a bunch of sick fucks, said the senior military officer. We are all a bunch of sick fucks, because they are. In uncovering the secret U.S. military operation, Reuters interviewed more than 24 current and former U.S. officials, military contractors, social media analysts, and academic researchers. Reporters also reviewed Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram posts, technical data, and documents about a set of fake social media accounts used by the U.S. military. Some are still active more than 5 years later. Over the last decade, some U.S. national security officials have pushed for a return to the kind of aggressive, clandestine, meaning secret propaganda operations against rivals that the United States wielded during the Cold War. Following the 2016 U.S. presidential election in which Russia used a combination of hacks and leaks to influence voters, they didn't do either of those things. Reuters is now lying to you. The calls to fight back grew louder inside Washington. They're still pushing Russiagate. That's what this is. This is Russiagate. So Reuters is still pushing Russiagate.
But it says hacks and leaks to influence voters.
Hacks.
That's not okay. Hacks and leaks is not fake information. Hacks and leaks means we found out real stuff.
They're talking about the hack of the DNC computer. They didn't do that server.
No, I know. But even if they had hacked, this is why I've never understood. If Russia hacked Hillary and I found out she's a lizard
they told you the
monster,
truth,
I don't care that they hacked her.
Right.
I would like to know who's a lizard monster.
That's
Not
right.
that she is a lizard monster.
That's correct.
Because lizards are like a better creature than that.
They never said that those emails were fake. They never said that anything. Anyway, so in 2019, Trump authorized the CIA to launch a clandestine campaign on Chinese social media aimed at turning public opinion in China against its government. As part of that effort, a small group of so everything that they say Russia and China are doing, the United States is doing first. Everything that they say they're doing.
Look, a small group of operatives using bogus
online identities.
I don't believe tweets?
That's right.
There you go.
Online identities to spread disparaging narratives about Xi Jinping's government.
What do you think? They just do that there? So all these people, you're like, why are they saying that? Because it's the same operation.
COVID-19 galvanized the drive to wage psychological operations against China.
It happened before.
I know. One former senior Pentagon leader described the pandemic as a bolt of energy that finally ignited the long-delayed counteroffensive against China's influence.
Oh, my God. I hate the Pentagon.
See, we're
Fuck you for your service.
Fuck you for your service. China's messaging got Washington's attention. Trump subsequently coined the term China virus as a response to Beijing's accusation that the U.S. military exported COVID to Wuhan. They did. That was false. And rather than having it, Fauci, through the CIA cutout Echo Health Alliance, funded the gain-of-function research that gave us the COVID-19 virus. Is that what that means?
I don't know what part of this honestly, I don't even know what the story is from this. There's so many agendas in one article,
right?
That it's easier to sort out UFO crap than this. Beijing
didn't limit its global so they're trying to pretend that China is still the bad guy. That's what the job of Reuters here. We'll let you tell it. This is what happened. We'll let Reuters tell the story about how the government was actually doing the exact thing we were claiming Russia and China were doing, and we were making people turn anti-vax. We'll let you tell that part of the story. If you also tell the bullshit part that China's still the bad guy, and we were just responding to them being the bad guy. They're really still the bad guy. We're just fighting fire with fire. That's why Reuters is allowed to tell this story.
Hey, by the way, China might be the bad guy. You're the horrible guy.
Yeah.
The Pentagon, you are horrible people. You're the worst people that ever lived on this planet. And I think you're worse than China.
So you want to hear, it says Beijing didn't limit its global influence efforts to propaganda. It announced an ambitious COVID assistance program, which included sending mass ventilators and its own vaccines, still being tested at the time, to struggling countries.
I remember that.
So what they're saying is that China actually gave material help to people struggling with COVID.
Right.
They didn't only just do propaganda, they were helping people.
By the way, masks didn't help. I think the ventilators didn't help.
No, the ventilators did not help.
I'm not clear on their vaccines, but this seems like a real dick measuring contest between... I don't understand why they collaborated with this.
In May 2020, Xi announced that the vaccine China was developing would be made available as a global public good and would ensure vaccine accessibility and affordability in developing countries. Guess who didn't do that? The United States. Washington's plan, called Operation Warp Speed, was different. It favored inoculating Americans first, and it placed no restrictions on what pharmaceutical companies could charge developing companies for the remaining vaccines that were not used by the United States.
This is all theater for some bullshit of making money on the... This is like such horseshit.
The deal allowed the companies to play hardball with developing countries, forcing them to accept high prices. The deal sucked most of the supply out of the global market. The United States took a very determined America first approach. So China is the good guy in this story. They were making their vaccines available to everybody at a low price. You know who wasn't? The United States. Pfizer, Moderna. To Washington's alarm, China offers of assistance were tilting the geopolitical playing field across the developing world, including in the Philippines, where the government faced upwards of 100,000 infections in the early months of the pandemic. Duterte said in July 2020 speech he had made a plea to Xi Jinping that the Philippines be at the front of the line as China rolled out the vaccines. He vowed in the same speech that the Philippines would no longer challenge Beijing's aggressive expansion in the South China Sea, upending a key security understanding Manila had long held with Washington.
The whole article is about this.
That's right. There
None
it
of
is.
the other shit means anything. Just that. That's what means
there
something.
It is.
By the way, the virus, the vaccine, your life.
So
these countries, and I don't think China's a good guy either, by the way. I think they're all playing it because they helped us make a virus. What? You think China don't know we make viruses there? But it's all about their... So this big game, and China had a little advantage in this big game of risk.
That's it.
And you're a plastic piece,
So
by the
that's
way.
it.
Yeah.
This was China's got a little bit of an advantage in the game of risk, if you know what that game is.
That's all it is.
With the Philippines. And so they were like, hey, fuck that.
Why would you vote or join the military or support a country? Why would you be part of any of this ever the fuck again when you see this shit? Why would you ever be part of it?
Here, U.S. military leaders feared that China's COVID diplomacy and propaganda could draw other Southeast Asian countries, such as Cambodia and Malaysia, closer to China.
That's what it's about.
Furthering its regional... That's...
Two criminal countries collaborated on this thing, and China got the better of our criminals. That's what this is. There ain't no good guys nowhere, by the way. Every authority is a piece of shit, and if you believe in them and vote for them, you're dumb.
And so the goal was to ensure that the region understood the origin of COVID while promoting skepticism toward what were then still untested vaccines offered by China that they said had lied continually since the start of the...
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, China's the liars. At least 6 senior State Department officials responsible for the region objected to this. So that's the State Department, which are the people who are appointed by people you actually vote for. They said, don't do this. Guess what the military said? Fuck you, we're doing it anyway. The military is now completely acting on its own. They did it under Trump, and they're still doing it under Biden. So the CIA, the FBI, the NSA, the Pentagon, they don't work for the elected people. You don't live in a goddamn democracy. Democracy is not on the ballot. Dementia's on the ballot. Democracy is not on the ballot. Your democracy was stolen from you decades ago. What?
We're stooping lower than the Chinese. You armed Nazis, you scumbags.
They're right now armed. Yeah, we're stooping lower than the Chinese, and we should not be doing that, said a former senior State Department official for the region who fought against the military operation.
This is some pissing contest in the upper levels over where's our next theater war going to be, China or this Ukraine thing. I mean, none of this has to do with any citizen of any country. It has to do with power players and their little games they're doing.
So now so there's a lot of shit. I'm not going to go into it.
Oh my God!
It's this, but you know what the real story is.
A pig derivative. By the way, all the food has fetal abortion cells in it. That's a fact. There's a chemical name. The stem cells in there make food taste better. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
It's in everything. The halal, the kosher food.
Facebook executives had first approached the Pentagon in the summer of 2020, warning the military that Facebook workers had easily identified the military's phony accounts. But did they make them take them down? No. The government, Facebook argued, was violating Facebook's policies by operating the bogus accounts and by spreading COVID misinformation. And so what did Facebook do? Did they crack down? The military argued that many of its fake accounts were being used for counterterrorism. and asked Facebook not to take down the content, according to two people familiar. The Pentagon pledged to stop spreading COVID-related propaganda, and some of the accounts continued to remain active on Facebook. Nonetheless, the anti-vax campaign continued into 2021 as Biden took office. By spring of 2021, the National Security Council ordered the military to stop all anti-vaccine messaging. We were told we needed to be pro-vaccine, pro-all vaccines, said a former military officer. Even so, Reuters found some anti-vax posts that continued. I
don't even understand who am I supposed to root for in this?
Right?
There's no one. I don't see anybody. Why is everything?
I like this. Reuters could not determine why the campaign didn't end immediately with the NSC's order.
Wait, what's the NSC again?
National Security Council.
All these three-letter agencies, fuck you if you work for them. I hate your three letters.
A senior Defense Department official said that those complaints led to an internal review. Oh, I bet they're going to get to the bottom of this, which uncovered the anti-vaccine operation. The probe also turned up there's gambling in this casino? Anyway, the probe also turned up other social and political messaging that was many, many leagues away from any acceptable military objective. Really?
There's some little civil war going on. That's what that is.
The review intensified the following year, the official said, after a group of academic researchers at Stanford University flagged some of the same accounts as pro-Western bots in a public report. The high-level Pentagon review was first reported by the Washington Post, which also reported that the military used fake social media accounts to counter China's message that COVID came from the United States. But the Post report did not reveal that the program evolved into the anti-vax propaganda campaign. The senior defense official said that the Pentagon had rescinded parts of Espert's 2019 order that allowed military commanders to bypass the approval of U.S. ambassadors when waging psychological operation.
So wait, are you saying that they saved a bunch of lives, by the way? Is that what we're saying? I wish I never took it, the safe, effective vaccine. I wish I never took that shit. So did China thank the Pentagon?
So the rules now, Kurt, mandate that the military commanders have to work closely with U.S. diplomats.
What?
No, they don't. The policy also restricts psychological operations. So they fuck off until they want to break it. The Pentagon's audit concluded that the military primary contractor handling the campaign, General Dynamics IT, had employed sloppy tradecraft.
Instead of misinformation, disinfo, let's call it tradecraft.
Sloppy tradecraft.
You like a little sloppy tradecraft?
Taking inadequate steps to hide the origin of fake accounts, said, they didn't do it good enough. The review also found that military leaders didn't maintain enough control over its PSYOP contractors.
If you're a PSYOP contractor, really fuck you for your service, you cunt. There's people working PSYOPs that are military, and they're cunts for being in that. You're a piece of shit. Why do we even have that?
Guess what? In February, the contractor that worked on the anti-vax campaign, General Dynamics, they won a $500 million contract. Its mission to continue providing secret influence services for the military.
They do that here. That's what the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act did. They're not just doing it to China. They do it here.
So they're getting billions of dollars in taxpayer money to spread misinformation. That's what they do for a living, baby.
You're worried about tweets.
And you're worried about randos.
Shit libs. Oh no, there's Twitter. We got to go to Threads.
Joe Rogan.
Fucking
Edward
Christ.
Snowden said, uneffing believable. If the government ever so much as breathes the word disinformation again, every journalist in the room had better turn their backs on the podium. They're stealing hundreds of millions of dollars from taxpayers at a minimum to poison the internet. That's what this tells you.
Yeah.
The Pentagon spent $500 million promoting fake news with fake social media accounts about COVID vaccines in the Philippines to undermine China. Yet, they also want to shut down TikTok because of misinformation.
No, that's for Israel. That's not to help China. That's to help Israel.
That's right. Okay, well, now you know the rest. That's quite a story. I know it took a long time to get through it.
What a shitbag country this is, man. Why would you ever... I mean, you must be a jag.
Can you believe those asshole comedians who told you to fucking shut up and believe the government and Fauci during COVID?
No, but I wouldn't, I wouldn't deal with that.
I still.
A lot of them are like afraid of me. I have to say, none of them are like, I'm not talking to you. They're like, it's always been that way.
Oh,
like
really?
Punk ass alt rooms.
Hey, come see us on tour. I'll be in Davenport, Iowa, Las Vegas, Nevada, Chicago, Illinois, and Grand Rapids, Michigan. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets.